I have always followed the policy that any idea can work if enough thought is put into it. And I think this is a good example of why that is a good policy to follow. Because you really can't get more random or bizarre than Michael Jordan playing basketball with the Looney Tunes. But oddly enough, it does sort of just about work. Yeah, I remember I saw this film back in the mid-90s. I happened to be a big fan of the Looney Tunes. I mean, who isn't really? And I was also kind of a big sort of NBA fan. I was more sort of just a Michael Jordan fan, though. I don't follow the NBA very much nowadays. I just sort of keep half an eye on it, seeing what's going on. This just seemed like an appropriate film to review right now, with the NBA season having just finished. Congratulations to the Miami Heat, by the way. But anyway, this film, obviously, it really has to be Michael Jordan, really just because there isn't really any other NBA player, or at least there wasn't at the time, that was sort of in the forefront of everybody's mind, even those that didn't follow basketball. Even in this country, the NBA is not particularly popular, and I think pretty much everyone in the mid-90s knew who Michael Jordan was. It really couldn't have been anyone else. There's no other NBA star that you can say that about. And unfortunately, Michael Jordan can't act. That is maybe one sort of uncontrollable problem with this film. He just can't. He doesn't really try anything particularly spectacular in this film. He doesn't really have anything particularly difficult to do. He just plays the down-to-earth, regular guy. But he certainly can't act at all. And that doesn't really make up for a major problem in this film if you just sort of accept the fact he can't act and just enjoy the film for what it is. But basically what's happening in this film is the Looney Tunes are captured by some aliens that are like a foot high. I don't know why the Looney Tunes don't just squash them as soon as they see them. And they are about to take them back to their planet to use them as their slaves. But the Looney Tunes are able to trick them into thinking that they have to allow them to defend themselves in some kind of way. And if they're that easy to fool, I kind of wonder why they don't just fool them into thinking that they have to let them go. I don't know. But basically this is just a sort of weak way to set up the scenario of the Looney Tunes have to fight these aliens at a basketball game, and if they lose, they're going to be slaves on this alien planet. And actually this is kind of an interesting idea, the Looney Tunes forming this team together, Toon Squad as they call it, because it's very rare in any circumstance to see all the Looney Tunes together, and certainly very rare to see them doing something together, working together for a common goal in this way. But this is actually what they do in this film. So basically the Looney Tunes try to challenge them to a basketball game because the aliens just don't look very sort of physically able. But the aliens have this strange sort of supernatural ability to just steal talent, I suppose. And they steal talent from 5 NBA players and put it inside a basketball, and then they touch the basketball, and this gives them the talent, and also, as well as giving them talent, also gives them the physical attributes of these NBA players, I guess, because it makes them much larger and much more muscular. No real explanation as to how any of that works, but I guess again that's just something you need to accept and just enjoy the film for what it is. It's just something that you need to accept in order to get us to the circumstance of the Looney Tunes playing basketball against these monsters. So basically they decide they need help, so they go get Michael Jordan. I don't know why they don't just get a whole bunch of NBA players like the aliens did, but whatever. So Jordan basically just coaches the team and then plays alongside them for a bit. He doesn't really do anything major to try and sort of influence the team in any kind of way other than give them a few motivational speeches and give them a little bit of basic coaching. I think the main reason why they brought Jordan along was basically to have him as the star player, the secret weapon on their team. I kind of like the way that late on in the game Jordan decides to sort of up the ante and sweeten the deal by saying to the boss of the aliens he had to give the NBA players their talent back if they win. And if they lose, he basically goes along with the Looney Tunes to the alien planet and becomes a slave himself. That's kind of a sort of sensible thing for Jordan to do, I suppose, just to sort of motivate him as much to try and win the game by putting himself in the same boat as the Looney Tunes. The rest of the Looney Tunes kind of question it, but I thought it was the right thing to do, very much so. The animation in this is sort of that kind of live action combined with animation that you saw that Roger Rabbit was very well known for. Obviously, there's been a lot of other films that have done it as well, like Bedknobs and Broomsticks and Mary Poppins, but I think this and Roger Rabbit are the only films I can think of off the top of my head that have basically live action and animation combined for like the entire film. Although actually, it's not the entire film, actually, now I think about it. It's probably only the last 2/3, maybe. Bill Murray is in this film playing himself for no apparent reason. I don't really understand why he's in that. But I like the way that Jordan wins the game at the end. He actually, because he's in Toonland, he has Toon-like abilities. Okay. And he basically stretches his arm out like a Toon to win them the game. Pretty predictable sort of ending. They do just sort of win the game at the last second, like you probably would have expected them to do. But the game itself is a pretty enjoyable sequence, both on the level of comedy and animation. I think those are the two main aspects of this film that sort of keep it going. You know, there's a lot of good comedy in here. There's not much sort of Looney Tunes slapstick in here, but you can't really expect that from an hour-and-a-half film. That's something you'd expect from the 5-minute shorts, really. You can't really do that with an hour-and-a-half film. There's a couple of sort of good, sort of, not so much adult jokes, but maybe jokes that only adults would get. The reference to the Anaheim Ducks in here, and reference to Pulp Fiction, and also quite a good sort of realistic remark from Bugs. You know, if the Looney Tunes were real, they just sort of existed in some kind of parallel universe from the real world, and they sometimes ventured into the real world, like you see them do here. They probably would want a bit of money for all the merchandise they get. Quite a good remark the Bugs makes partway through the film. Another kind of interesting sort of tie-in with reality. You know, you wouldn't have expected there to be much of a tie-in with reality in a film that is that features the Looney Tunes, but Michael Jordan, we do see him play minor league baseball after announcing his retirement from the NBA, and that actually happened. I don't know if, like we see in the film, the opposing team's catcher tried to help him out by getting him a pitch to hit the way he did, or everybody being so supportive of him even if he doesn't do particularly well. But yeah, he did actually play minor league baseball. I think, if memory serves right, he actually did okay. He's portrayed in this film as being terrible, but no, I think he did end up doing okay in the minor leagues. And there's also a subplot with the 5 NBA players that have had their talent stolen by the aliens and then get it back at the end of the film. With them basically sort of adjusting to life when they suddenly have no talent and have no way really of knowing exactly why they suddenly don't have any talent. That's actually kind of an interesting idea. That's something I'd like to see a film explore, just as, you know, the main plot. You know, you're a big sports star being paid millions to do what you do under massive pressure from hundreds of thousands of millions of people to continue to deliver at the highest level. And then just suddenly, in a split second, you find that for no apparent reason you just can't do it anymore. That would be a pretty frightening sort of concept and really sort of traumatizing thing to face, just to be completely robbed of everything that made you special, that everything that is the reason why you are as rich as you are, why everybody adores you, to suddenly just not have that anymore and have no way of knowing why. That's a pretty frightening sort of thought. That would actually kind of make for an interesting movie on its own, but in this film it's just a subplot. Still quite an interesting subplot. And actually some of the NBA players that have their talent stolen are probably better actors than Jordan, actually. Maybe this film should have been about them, but no, it isn't. It's about Jordan, because he's the big name everybody knows. But overall, this film definitely has enough going for it to make it for an enjoyable hour and a half. I don't think you should really expect anything particularly spectacular from a film that has the Looney Tunes and Michael Jordan in it. Even the title doesn't make much sense to me. Space Jam, what does that mean? But for as bizarre a concept as it is, I think it does just about work. It's never likely to be any kind of masterpiece, but there's enough in this film that makes it enjoyable, I think, that will get you through the hour and a half and make it a satisfying experience for you. If you like the Looney Tunes, and especially if you like Michael Jordan, and it's also especially if you like both, I suppose, you will definitely enjoy this film. If you don't like the Looney Tunes, you won't like this film, certainly. They are the main thing that sort of drive this film. But anyway, I would say probably overall maybe a 6 out of 10. Okay, that is it. I will see you for another review soon, guys.